The San Francisco 49ers are going to kick ass and take names this season, and it all starts with head coach Kyle Shanahan.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Niners Now podcast. Normally, we come on Fridays. You're probably saying to yourself, what's going on? You guys got your days confused. No, we don't. We know it's Saturday. Happy Saturday afternoon to everyone. We just were not able to make it last night, so we decided to go live today. And we do have a guest with us today who will be representing his Minnesota Vikings. But before we get to our guest, I just want to say hello to my co-host, Jess. Jess, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited that football, tomorrow we can watch a bunch of games tomorrow, not worry about our team until Monday night, and trying to get this bitter taste out of our mouth by the loss to the Browns. So hopefully, and on my guest expense and his team, we may have something nice to talk about next week. We shall see. We'll get a deep dive into the Minnesota Vikings. Jess, it's been a minute. I know you've been busy with work, and last week you weren't feeling well. I'm glad that you're looking good, you feel good, and we're back.
Yes, we are back and ready to roll.
I love it. I just want to acknowledge people in the chat real quick. We got Melissa in the house. What's up, Melissa? Welcome. We got 49ers Throwback. We got Don Dotson in the house. Welcome, welcome. We got, let's see, Jimmy Perez in La Casa. What's up, Jimmy? We got Daniel Barry Sports in the house. What's up, brother? Good to see you. And people are trickling in. With no further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our guest and let's talk some 49er Vikings football. Let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. And here's our guest, David, Minnesota Viking. For how many years, my friend?
I went to my first game in 1969 at the old Met Stadium. It was the Vikings versus the Bears. My dad was an avid Bears fan, and we lived up in Minneapolis at that time. He took me there, and I fell in love with the purple.
And you've been hurting ever since, I'm assuming.
That is correct, 100%.
And I don't mean that in a negative, just that to go to the Super Bowls and lose them, I can imagine. We've had our share now. We were 5-5 prior to going to the last two Super Bowls against the Ravens and against the Kansas City Chiefs. So we finally got to feel how it is to lose. And honestly, I can't speak for Jess or anybody in the chat, but it sucked. So I can imagine for your team, the feeling of making it and not. But no one is worse than Buffalo Bills going 4 straight Super Bowls and coming short 4 straight times. That must be very hard for those fans.
Yes, there is a kindred spirit between the Vikings franchise and the Buffalo franchise because of the 4 losses we both endured. And it's unfortunate, but we both hope to eventually win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I don't know if Kirk Cousins is the guy that would get you to the Super Bowl. If you have any feelings about this guy, I know we have talked in the past. You're not a big fan of Mr. Kirk. Cousins taking over there, other than him taking money from your team and the Washington Commanders now. That guy's put a lot of money in his pocket and has put no trophies on either team.
That is correct. Kirk is a very good quarterback. Let me put that out there first. Kirk is a very good quarterback. He does have his flaws, and he's not a great quarterback. And it's a great quarterback that helps you win and win often and many times forms a dynasty, whether it be back in your day with Montana and Young, or we can say Staubach, Aikman, things like that go on. My dreaded enemies, Favre and Rodgers. It could all happen if you have that great one. Now, people say, but Dave, there's, some that step up and win that aren't so good. They're game managers or whatever. And yes, and they tend to point to the Ravens when they had their best defense ever, or even the Bears when they had in '85 that killer defense. But those are rare. It takes a special quarterback to be able to do that. And we have not had one since you could maybe call Dante Culpepper, but before that was Fran Tarkington. And it's been that long. And Kirk Cousins is not it. He's a nice man. He's a sweet man. And he's a good quarterback. Throws up heck of stats. 4,000 yards, 35 touchdowns, all that sweet. A lot of it in garbage time when we're trying to come back from behind. But he is not that man. And the Vikings fans are looking forward to moving on after Kirk, because he is 35 years old and not everybody plays till they're 42 or whatever, like Tom Brady. So hopefully he can win more games this year and we actually get into the playoffs, but it's not looking good so far.
Yeah, your offense has kind of looked a little bit different from last year. Last year, to me, I felt that your offense kind of carried your defense pretty much all last season. And this year, the offense is kind of almost as comparing to your defense not doing that great. Now, you do have some key players on there that we'll talk about. One of them not playing on Monday night. But before we proceed, Jess, is there anything you would like to ask or add about the Vikings?
Yeah, with that being said about Kirk Cousins, and just talking about our matchup on Monday Night Football, what kind of problem do you think he presents for the 49ers defense?
If things go well and people are running the script, he'll tear you apart. He can do that. It's when things go off script that he has his issues. And whether that is via pressure, and pressure could do it. He's decent throwing under pressure, but he doesn't like it. He doesn't move well in the pocket. He's a statue generally. That can throw him off and he can make mistakes. The key to the 49ers winning and winning early is to frustrate him and fluster him early in the game. Once he gets settled in and gets rhythm and things flow well, and you might call it momentum, but it's momentum for him. If he makes some good connections with any of our wide receivers, you can pick one early in the game, he will go off. It's just the way he plays. But if those don't come to fruition, if he throws short or if he throws high or whatever it is, the receivers drop it or he's under pressure, he tends to get stuck in his head. And once he's done that, you've got him beat, basically. There'll be a fighting chance and we'll come back in within one score of the game. And we all have seen that story 100 times here in Minnesota. But that's generally the way it works. Do you have the ability to do that? Absolutely. I consider the 49ers the best team in the NFC. I think they are the most well-rounded team in the NFC. I think they are full of depth in virtually all positions, especially on the defense. And that's going to be rough on the Minnesota Vikings.
Anything else you want to Just fill in.
Uh, Talk a little bit about your offensive line. I know Ezra Cleveland is out.
Correct.
Um, just talk a little bit about them and how they've been doing so far through 6 weeks of this season.
Our offensive line, which we've complained about for almost a decade because it's been about that long, as being terrible, is actually very, very good. Across the league, across metrics, whether it be ESPN, PFF, DVO, or DVOA, SIS, or others, they are a top 5 offensive line. They have done outstanding this year. They are number 1 or 2, depending on which metric you're using at run blocking. They're like 3 or 5 at pass blocking. They've done well. Now, that hasn't panned out in production, however, is the problem we're facing. Whether it be that we run Alexander Madison as our RB1, and that may change Monday night. You may see Cam Akers as the guy versus Alexander Madison, or whether it be inefficiencies in our passing game. Like I said, when Kirk has bad games, bad Kirk comes out, there's problems there. But they have steadily improved, and that has been a sore subject for the Vikings literally for a decade. They are good now, which surprises people. They can handle people. Bosa will go up against either Christian Darrisaw on the left tackle, who is ranked the number 1 tackle in the NFL, period, number 1, or Brian O'Neill on the right side, who is ranked number 6. And I think he's the number 1 right tackle in the league. He's going to have a hard time there. Those guys are monsters. That's going to be a fun fight to watch wherever he lines up.
Well, it'll definitely be good. It'll definitely be a good matchup on the left side because don't forget Nick Bosa goes against another number 1 left tackle in Trent Williams every day.
Yes.
So
and
it'll definitely be a good matchup.
Believe it or not, Christian Darrisaw's idol is Trent Williams, and they are personal friends. They know each other. That's why Darrisaw wears the number 71.
Oh, that's interesting. Didn't know that. On your defensive side, your Hunter, who has kind of struggled in the past, mainly because of injury. It looks like that he's been the healthiest that he has been in a minute this season. And I believe Melissa brought him up as well, having Brian Flores as your defensive coordinator seemed like it really paired up very well with Hunter. And Hunter is, besides being healthy, he's always throwing. I know he doesn't like the 3-4, and even though you guys are in a 3-4, but it's not actual 3-4 like it was last year. How beneficial was this gentleman being added to your defense?
Brian Flores has been the key to juicing up our defense. Our defense ranked 31st last season. They were horrible. This season, we're already up to 15th. And as it applies to Danielle Hunter is having a renaissance. Brian Flores says, Danielle, be you. I don't care if you put your hand in the dirt. I don't care if you come from a 2-point stance. You be you. You go get the quarterback. And that's exactly what he's done. He's tied for the league in sacks. He is, I think, number 1 in pressures or close to it. He is just balling out. Now, what's helped Danielle in the last couple of games was that we finally got Marcus Davenport on the field. He was our free agent signing from the Saints. He has a pressure rate almost as high as Danielle. I mean, just within hundreds of each other. Him and Danielle working together was a powerhouse. It was great. Well, Marcus Davenport got rolled up on his ankle by Harrison Phillips, our nose tackle, and he's out with a high ankle sprain that might require surgery. So he was stuck on IR this week. That's not going to happen. So you're going to get DJ Wonnum opposite of Danielle Hunter. DJ Wonnum he's a serviceable edge and one of the best unblocked sack getters that you've ever seen. But if he's blocked, which most times they are, he's meh. So it's going to be interesting to see how Flores adjusts. I mean, he did it in the first 4 weeks because we didn't have Davenport. So it's going to be interesting to see. But Flores being added to the squad has greatly benefited Daniil Hunter. And by the way, Daniil Hunter is a free agent after this year. We hope to re-sign him if the Vikings front office is smart. But if not, somebody's going to get a deal.
The Niners can target him at the trade deadline.
That is possible too. The word out on the street is Vikings front office is open to suggestions. They haven't made a decision, and they won't until after this game and then the next against the Green Bay Packers. But Hunter is our big ticket, and minimum price is a first rounder.
So that's interesting take on that. You guys are kind of looking at, what are you guys, 2-5 right now, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct,
So
2-5.
You're looking to try to balance that out. If you guys lose on Monday night and then lose next week, you guys, I think that Hunter will be on display a little bit more. The more games you lose, obviously, before the deadline. But we, at least for me speaking on the Niners defense, we were missing someone that could replace D Ford in the sense of speed. We were hoping to get it from Drake Jackson. I think Drake Jackson from USC will still be the future of this team. I think he has the ability to be great, but he hasn't really demonstrated that so far this year. He had 3 sacks to open up the season, got everybody walled up, and it hasn't done nothing since. We already know that Hargrave is a great addition from Philadelphia in free agency. Bosa is just, last year's Defensive Player of the Year.
Future Hall of Famer. Yes.
Future Hall of Famer, yeah. And then we have Eric Armstead, which is really underrated. He's not one that you hear a lot about sacks, but what the guy does in between the line is he puts in the work. He's always demanding double coverage, double teams, and so forth. Gregory, who I'm wearing the shirt today, Mr. Randy Gregory. I went and got a jersey already. I think this kid, what he showed, and I want to get Jess' perspective real quick as well. What he showed in the loss to the Browns, because that sucked to lose to the Browns. The Browns have a very good defense that people are not really considering. They're the number one defense right now in a lot of categories. But if there's a area of, okay, what did I take out of that game? Was that Randy Gregory had and was very effective in that game. Like I said earlier, I think he had 1 sack, 3 quarterback pressures, and I think a couple of hits. And for his first game, his debut, if he can continue to get better and demonstrate on Monday night, national TV, that this is the team under Chris Cassera, he can flourish, we might just found for say, a D4 in that speed category off the edge that can complement Nick Bosa, because that's what Nick Bosa needs. He needs a complementary edge rusher. And here, he just has to put his hand on the dirt. When he was with Denver, he required to be a linebacker coverage, and he had to do a lot of thinking. Here, he don't have to think. You just put your hand on the dirt and go after the quarterback. Before I get your thoughts, David, I want to ask Jess, and the performance and what you saw of Randy Gregory being his first game as a Niner, were you impressed? Do you think this guy can do more for us going forward?
I definitely was impressed. I think he was the small bright spot that we had in that Browns game, because everything else was just going wrong. But moving forward, I think I think he'll do really well for us.
I agree. I don't know if you know too much. We talked a little bit before we went live, David, but I don't know if you're familiar with Randy Gregory when he played for the Cowboys, the little stint that he had, or last year when he played for the Broncos. Are you familiar with him? Any of his tape?
No, pardon me, no.
Okay.
I don't, unless I'm playing him, I'm not watching him directly.
Okay, so you'll
I know
get
the name. I know who he is.
so this game on Monday night will be a good preview of what he is and what he can do if he shows up, which I hope he does. I just want to acknowledge real quick my niece, Ma Lopez, is in the house. Welcome to the channel. Roberto Davis is in the house. Welcome. Rick Diaz popped in. Welcome. Now, we were supposed to go on our channel and also on Dave's Viking channel, but as he stated earlier before we went on air, that he's been real busy, and I understand how that is. He was not able to add it to his channel, so we don't really have Viking fans here tonight. But I just want to first.
I was hoping to bring a few over. I announced it that we're coming over here. I was at least hoping to see Miss Mary. So
maybe she'll pop in. But I just want to thank all my viewers, our viewers, for being respectful and polite to David. David's a great guy. I've known David for, I think, what is it, 2 years now, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. We always talk back and forth on Twitter or on Facebook Messenger, and he's a very dedicated Viking fan. Like you said, his first game was 1969. So a lot of you were not born, me included. I wasn't born either. I was born the year after that. I was in the process. No, I wasn't. My dad. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But he's been a Viking for a long time. He's had his ups and downs. Culpepper, Randy Moss, a lot of great things. I have nothing against the Vikings. A lot of people tell me, do you hate the Cowboys? Yes. Do you hate the Seahawks? Yes. The Vikings, I don't hate. The only thing that I hold against the Vikings, that I can't stand the Vikings, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, is the Herschel Walker trade. That Herschel Walker trade. You gave a bunch of capital to the Cowboys, and if it wasn't for your capital for those years, the Cowboys would have never had the Super Bowls that they have in their history. So you got, and then Herschel Walker didn't do nothing for you guys. And back then, it wasn't like now. It was like you guys gave up first rounds for like 3 or 4 years straight. It was crazy something.
And second rounders, and it was the worst trade ever in NFL history. It was horrible. And our idiot GM at the time, who was running it, traded players and said, we'd get players if they kept players. And the whole idea is if they kept them. And Jimmy Johnson said, oh, loophole. And he got rid of every last one of them and got additional draft picks for those. And it literally built the dynasty under Jimmy Johnson, and then Barry Switzer cleaning up on the last Super Bowl. It was pathetic. And then of course the Vikings did not let Herschel be Herschel. They tried to play him in a different way than he was used to. It did not work. He eventually went back to Dallas, returned to being Herschel, even though he was up in age at that point in time. And it was the worst trade ever. I had when I was in the military, I had a Dallas Cowboy fan that worked for me, and he knew to fire me up during a shift. All he had to do was bring up Herschel Walker and start talking about that trade, because it set the Vikings back almost a decade. It was one of the worst periods of time for Minnesota.
Yeah, and it was a ripple effect. Like I said, the Niners suffered because of it, because the Dallas was able to plemish itself with players like Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Moose, a lot of these players they got because of all those. And this is why I generally feel bad for Viking fans, because there's a lot of pain being a fan. And as long as you've been a fan, you've seen a lot of it, if not pretty much a lot of it. The ups and downs, the emotional. I know how it is to lose a lot of games, to be under bad coaches, to have bad quarterbacks. Right now, we're still trying to figure out a quarterback situation, but to have a trade like that, I know we have the trade Lance. We went up and gave threes, and now he's with the Cowboys and blah, blah, blah. But at least we had Brock Purdy to fall on, where it kind of takes away the sting of the Trey Lance trade. But you guys hadn't really nothing.
Now 12-1,
12-1. Yeah. 12-1 as a 7th round pick.
I can't tell you how many teams in the league would love to have that problem.
Yeah. Before I just ask you a question, I just wanted to ask you, do you think, in your opinion, with your eyes, I don't know how much of Brock Purdy you've seen. You might get more film on in this game on Monday night. But do you think? And I want to hear the truth from you. Is he a system quarterback? I hate that word they use. Or do you think he's above system? I'm not talking elite, but above system quarterback in your opinion, Dave.
What I see in Brock Purdy that I like from Brock Purdy is his ability to read the defense before the play and to process. He's got an elite ability to process. That is something that most quarterbacks do not have. And a lot of people complain about quarterbacks. He's not processing it fast enough, right? Prime example, Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields can't process if you put one of those sand deals on him. It takes forever for him to figure out what in the heck's going on and who's lining where. We messed with his head so bad it was pathetic. But Purdy, on the other hand, in the film I've seen, in the games I've watched, can do that. And for basically a rookie and a seventh rounder who you expect absolutely zero out of, that's amazing. And as long as he keeps up with the attitude that he wants to be great and he tries to improve every single day at what he does, take that and base that on the ability to read and process ahead of everybody else, you guys have a keeper. And it's a surprise. You know, we figured when you went for Lance, and we wanted Lance too, he's one of us, grew up in Minnesota, went to school at NDSU, that, hey, that was the route to go. Plenty of potential, but it never panned out. And when you got Purdy, and Purdy has turned out to be, oh, wow, he may not have the rocket arm of some famous quarterbacks. He may not be as smart as Peyton Manning or, whatever you want, whatever high standard you want to do. But from what I've seen, he can think and digest and make the right decisions. And folks, that's all it takes. With that, you can win a ton of football games, despite the fact that he plays for one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he saved Kyle Shanahan's ass with that. Although I'm not one of those people that hate on Kyle. I think Kyle's one hell of a coach and a coordinator, and Jess can share her thoughts on this too. But there's a lot of Niner fans that, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to a lot of our Niner fans. I don't know how your fan base is to your team. Are they as delusional as Niner fans are? I don't know. I would like to ask you that because a lot of Niner fans want Kyle fired because we haven't won a Super Bowl yet, or want him fired especially because we lost against the Browns last Sunday. And it's like, are you kidding me? And I know Jess gets pissed off about this, and rightfully so, that you want to get rid of a coach that is taking you to 3 NFC championship games, that taking you to 1 Super Bowl appearance. Yes, we haven't won it, and that's not the objective. The objective is to win the Super Bowl, but to be in contention every year, to make a bad move like Trey Lance and still make it that year to the NFC championship game, it takes away the blow of giving up those number ones. So, Jess, I know how you felt, and you don't have to go deeper on the Kyle Shanahan, because me and you, we have spoken in the past how a lot of Niner fans don't know what they're saying. They base great coaches on Super Bowls. Yes, it's great, but like Mark Levy, great Hall of Fame coach, never won a Super Bowl. What's Scheimer, the one that was a Kansas City coach, the Chargers coach? He's never won a Super Bowl. Great coach. Grant, like you said, yeah. So it's great to win Super Bowls, and that's the ultimate goal. But to me personally, I don't think that defines you as a head coach. It's great to have in your resume, like Andy Reid for 20 years, great coach. Now he added 2 Super Bowls. that's an addition. Like that's to me, that's like frosting on the cake. But your thoughts, Jesse, and then we'll ask David about the coaching situation with our fan base.
Well, first off, I disagree with you as far as Brock saved Kyle's ass, because I think his ass would be fine regardless. But in
Not the
getting
way it looks. Not just kidding.
in getting back to Kyle Shanahan, um, you know, and I believe 49ers throwback just said it. If we fire Kyle, then we lose great players and the front office goes down. And I agree with this 100%.
I'm with you. Yes.
Um, Kyle has his faults. He's not perfect. Nobody is. They've admitted, that they were wrong with certain things, and we've moved on from it. And that's about it. But I wouldn't want any other coach. I mean, I'm definitely a Shanna fan for sure. But I wouldn't want anybody else out there.
You could have fooled me with the picture behind you, but yeah, I got you. Yeah, and rightfully so. And I'll pass it to David real quick. But it's like I tell Niner fans this: is listen, guys, you gotta understand that it's not easy to win Super Bowls. How many Super Bowls have been played? How many coaches have won Super Bowls? Some of them have won it multiple times, but it's not easy. And people don't realize it when you have a coach. It's almost like when you have something great, you don't realize how bad it is for other teams that don't have great coaches or play callers, and they're going. And it's like the Niner fans have forgotten about the coaches that we had, like Chip Kelly, Jim Tonsula, all these guys in between. They tend to have amnesia. They forget about these coaches. And when you have someone that Kyle like wins every year, he's been here 7 years, Dave, with the 49ers. His first 2 years, he completely gutted out this team. He tore it from the top to the bottom. He kept like 3 or 4 players, and he got rid of everybody else. And then on his third year, him and John Lynch took the team to the Super Bowl with a completely restored roster. Who does that? What team does that? There's teams like the Cowboys what was the last time they even made it to the NFC Championship game? Forget about a Super Bowl, and with the same owner and the same. It's not easy. So with that said, I agree about with Jess about these fans, how crazy they are. I don't want to get rid of him either, because my biggest question is, okay, you talk about firing somebody. Who are you going to replace them with? And they can never seem to answer that question. And that's the dumbest thing for me. I want to get your thoughts on our coach, and also just on the whole situation of having a good coach, whether he wins the Super Bowl or not. But he's giving you opportunities every year. What's your thoughts on that, Dave?
Well, I think Shanahan's one of the best coaches ever. He obviously tootled under his dad, who was a absolutely outstanding coach himself. He comes from a lineage of it. He knows how to play football. He knows how to coach it, knows how to design it, and it has been extremely well. I agree with 49ers throwback that if you look at it sort of like Andy Reid in Philadelphia went to the Super Bowl and lost, and he went to, I think, 3 back-to-back NFC championships or whatever, and they eventually fired him. And that was to the gain of the Kansas City Chiefs. And it took a while before Philadelphia got their act together. Now, your original question is about the fans and how they feel about the coaches. I think Kevin O'Connell, our head coach, is a very good head coach. He came in from the Rams, and before he's worked with Shanahan. I want to say they were together in Washington, and they know each other. They are contemporaries. They run similar styles of football. KOC melds the Shanahan and the McVay systems together, basically. But we have fans as well. We went 13-4 last year, surprisingly, a whole bunch of lucky bounces. And we went 13-4, and everybody's loving KOC. Well, Kevin O'Connell, hey, everything's great. Kumbaya, all that wonderful stuff they talk about. He's very much a player's coach and warm, fuzzy feelings. And then this year we start out horribly, and people are calling for his head. It's like, come on, folks. he's only played a season and a third. You got to give him more time than that. Every coach has a bad time, and you knew coming into this last year's team, a lot of the members would be gone because they're aging, and this year's team, there'll be a lot of players on the bubble, some of them because they're aging, i.e. Reed Kirk Cousins is one of them, and it's going to take a while. Now, would we have liked a complete teardown rebuild like Chicago did? Probably. You can do that, but they went for a competitive rebuild is the catchphrase they've used, where they want to keep players and they want to build up and slowly rotate players in and out in this rebuild. And they're only basically a third of the way through it, if that, because last year they were told to keep everybody from the old team to see if it was Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman were the problem. Obviously, with a 13-4 record, they went, yep, that was the problem. Well, this year is that first portion of that sort of full-on rebuildish sort of mode, but we're trying to stay competitive. We got rid of Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and I'm happy for Adam Thielen. He's having a real good season this year in Carolina. Eric Kendricks is playing in LA with the Chargers, and it is what it is. But people want, like your fans, have we won the Super Bowl yet? No, fire somebody. People are, living in a instant society where they want everything now. And why isn't it at the door 5 minutes ago? And it's unfortunate. And I try to caution fans, enjoy the ride, enjoy the buildup. It means more in the end when you've gone through all those growing pains, when the final thing is won. And I hope to feel that someday before I die. But it's that process that is so endearing to football and so endearing to football fans and their families, and why it's a family sport. And it's great. And if you're calling for your head coach after he got you to 3 NFC championship games in 4 years, I think you might want to rethink that. Go look at the rest of the NFC or the NFL and come back and say, is that the right move or not?
Yeah, I like to call people like that very emotional fans. They're in their feelings. I know a lot of fans get upset about it, but you can't be in your feelings. You got to be a fan first and foremost as fans, but you also got to think about the business side of it and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. You can't make decisions upon emotions. And that's why I'm glad that John Lynch is not an emotional GM. He's a smart guy. He went to Stanford. And you're right. So I'm getting a sense from what you said, Dave, that it's just not Niner fans. Now, we are familiar all too well with Niner fans because that's what we talk and breathe every day at the Niner land. But I can see the Viking fans go through the same, and I can only assume that other fans of other teams do the same. And I just can't comprehend that you want to give up on a coach. People always want to try something new. Okay, this hasn't worked for 2 years. I want something new. But what they don't realize is the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence. They always find out that the grass might look nicer, but there's dog shit everywhere and you're stepping in it when you cross that gate. And sometimes that's not a good thing. You got to be patient. And I mentioned to one of my friends, Dion, who I love and respect, that it took Andy Reid almost 20 years to win his first Super Bowl, and he gets fired up. He's like, I don't want to hear it. Kyle Shanahan should get fired because he has not won a Super Bowl. He needs to win a Super Bowl. And I'm like, you got to give him a chance. It was win. Next year, I don't know. I don't care about windows. He's doing everything he can, him and John Lynch's combination, to try to win. We're in a good pace this year. We're 5-1. And we have a quarterback that is managing the boat right. We got a great defense. They built this team. People say around the NFL that the Niners have one of the best, if not the best, roster in the NFL, because not only do we have starters, but we have great backups. They can back up the start. A lot of our backups can beat a lot of starters in other teams. That's how good we built it. But yet the Niner fans cannot give credit where credit is due. They always talk about the What's his name? Help me out, Jeff. The guy that we drafted weeks 2017 when they came in, Solomon. He was a bust.
Yeah.
We got Forrester. He didn't work out. We got Fred Warner in the third round a year later. How's he worked out? So, when you hear about all these bad drafts, look at all the guys like Kittle in the fifth round. You got Greenlaw, arguably he will be just like Fred Warner. Any team would love to have him. Look how he's done. Hufanga, all pro. We got a bunch of all pros that we drafted in the lower round of the draft, but these Niner fans cannot understand that it takes time, to win something. At least if my team is in contention every year, and it takes a lot of. That's another thing me and my friend Dion argue about. He doesn't believe that it takes luck to win the Super Bowl, and I'm like, my friend. It takes not only luck, a lot of luck, because you can have the best roster, you can have the best coaching, and you can just look at what happened to Brock Purdy last year against the Eagles in the championship. He got hurt. That's bad luck. You're going to tell me that wasn't luck? The way he got hit, if he would have threw a little bit sooner, a little bit later, luck has a lot to do with it. Jess, what are your thoughts on the luck situation? Do you agree or disagree that not only do you need great roster, great coaching, but you need a shitload of luck?
Yeah, I agree with that. And you're right to give the example of last year with Brock Purdy in the Eagles game. That was definitely bad luck. But yeah, you have to have luck. You have to have everything. Good roster, good coaching. Everything has to click on all cylinders. So yeah, luck is, I believe, a big part of it.
Yes. Do you believe that it takes luck, Sir Dave, to win a championship?
Absolutely. Okay. We play with an odd-shaped ball. It bounces funny. You've got the football gods, as we like to say, have to smile upon you for everything to go absolutely perfectly, because there's too many times when it doesn't. You might have, the greatest punter in the world, just to give an example of punting. How many times do they kick it and it lands on the 2-yard line and spins back like a nice, 90-yard pitching wedge? Or they kick it and it lands on the 2-yard line, hits just right, and screams through the end zone for a touchback.
Absolutely.
Is that skill? Yeah. Maybe partially, but I mean, how can you judge the amount of rotation and where the point of the ball impacts the turf and go, I'm going to plan exactly for that? You can't. There is a bit of that breeze coming through the stadium, right? You guys play in an outdoor stadium, you can be affected by wind. Playing Chicago outdoors, it could be a gale force wind, and you watch field goals go zoom.
Yeah,
right?
we experienced that last Sunday.
And that sort of stuff happens, and you can't say that's not skill. That's, did the kicker want to, all right, put the finger in the air? Oh, the wind's blowing at 27 knots from the northeast, so that means I need to adjust my kick by 5 degrees and go that. Crazy. No. There's a little bit of that, a little bit of the English put into it, but no, there could still be that last second breeze that the ball looks like it's going in, and it's 6 inches outside the post. That comes partially to luck. And like we talk about luck in the game. Last year, we won 11 one-score games. This year, we've lost all but, I think, 2 one-score games. And part of that's luck, but part of that is bad football. We've put the ball on the ground 12 times, 12 fumbles. No team is going to win a lot of games putting the ball on the ground that many times. Now, is that skill? Oh, absolutely, that's skill. But even that, part of that is luck. If a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, whomever, has his hands on the ball completely encased, right, doing the best form possible, and then gets hit with a helmet into the football, at full speed, that ball's coming out. I don't care who you are. You don't have that locked in. It's impossible. They hit the ball, it's coming out. And that happens. That's part of that is luck. Now, do the Vikings need to clean up their turnovers? Oh, heck yes. You want to know how the Vikings can lose Monday night? Cause turnovers. How the Vikings can steal a win? Don't drop the ball.
Yeah, be smart. Be smart with the ball. If anybody really loves luck, I would have to say that the Vikings, no luck is especially against the New Orleans Saints, the Minnesota Miracle. The one where it was clearly pass interference, but it wasn't called. That was luck for you guys, not so much for the Saints. So you can't tell me referees always screw things up, and you got to be lucky that the referee doesn't call a play
Doesn't see something
against you. Yeah, it doesn't see something. You know what I mean? So luck is a big part of the game. You don't want to depend on luck, but it is part of the game, and it will always be part of the game. Like you said, the way the ball bounces. Look at Hurts last year in the Super Bowl when the ball just slipped out of his hands. If it wouldn't have slipped and it wouldn't have been scooped up for a touchdown, who knows? Maybe the Eagles would have been a Super Bowl and not Kansas City. He hasn't turned over the ball at all last year, and he goes and just, comes right out of it. Tell me that's not bad luck, just for the fall. For the ball just to fall out of his hands. So luck is definitely a big part. Real quick, I want to ask you, Dave, about your team. How do you feel that your offense can stack up and protect Kirk Cousins against this ferocious front four? And what do you want to see? Which player of your offense, if not all of them, but one of them, step up beyond what they have been doing to help out Kirk and not get him killed back there?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Our offensive line has been doing exceptionally well, which surprises the heck out of me.
Okay.
Including Garrett Bradbury, who's ranked the second center in the league. When he started out 4 or 5 years ago as a rookie, he was horrible for his first 3 years, and he's steadily gotten better since. We have our guards. We have Ed Ingram in the right guard, who's made some famous flubs. He's the one that strip sacked Kirk Cousins on a pull earlier this season. Caused a fumble. We lost the fumble. You're pulling, your quarterback's taking the snap. He pulls in front, knocks the ball out. He's the one that stepped on Kirk Cousins' foot a few times last season. But he's even playing better. He's good, ranked 22nd out of 80 guards. And we lost Ezra to an injury. Ezra's got a foot injury, did something in center of his foot, top of his foot. Hopefully it's not a Lens Frank, but it's something that area of the foot. He's out. We now have, starting for the first time, Dalton Reisner. It's pronounced Reisner. I've been corrected. He's starting at left guard. I'm curious, if I were Shanahan and your defensive coordinator, that's exactly where I would attack on Monday night to see how well he does and how used to the play calls he is. The way to beat the offense is to confuse the line, confuse the line calls. Garrett Bradbury calls the line, and Kirk Cousins may see something else, but Kirk Cousins refuses to correct it. Say the line comes up and goes, I got 5-0, right? Which is man on man. Tackle's got the guy in front of him, guard's got the guy in front of him, center, etc. Right? Whether it be linemen or linebackers, whoever it is. Well, they tend to miss. Kirk Cousins will see a shift, and instead of 5-0, he needs to shift the protection to the right or to the left, and he doesn't call it. And that's a problem. It has been a problem this year. I would like for Kirk Cousins, if he sees that, to call it, or if Garrett Bradbury sees that, to call it. Once they do that, that will improve our play. If they don't, if you guys can confuse that, you can get advantages on the pass rush. And even though our offensive linemen may have their guys and may control their guys, you can get by with blitzes or whatever, mismatches, stunts. We're susceptible to that. And then you'll Kirk Cousins will be sitting back there and he'll be like, oh, I can't move. Sack. Oop, strip sack. He's had 2 strip sack fumbles so far this season. So that's the way they do it. Jess, how do you think you're going to beat the Vikings?
I think you pretty much outlined it. I, that's why I was asking you about the offensive line earlier, because I feel that that's the ticket right there for us to beat you guys. My question to you is, and last one for me, your score prediction.
Oh, I don't generally give predictions.
Okay.
I told Beta wanted to do a bet of fan flags, full-size flags for the game. I said, no, it's not fair. We're going to get boat raced. And yeah, I see that.
I have an extra one. That's why I'm going to make that cheap bet.
The deal is, I don't, as much as I want the Vikings to win, and believe me, I do. I want them to win. And I think in the right circumstances, and if that luck smiles upon Minnesota, in Minnesota, it can happen. And we can beat you guys. And it's not going to be like the Brownies did last week. The Brownies had the best defense in the league, and they beat you with the best defense in the league. We'll have to do it in a different fashion, be more efficient, and a little bit of luck on our side, and we can win. But I feel that that's not going to happen. We have been within the spread every game this season so far, and within 1 score of every game this season so far. Whether we got against the Eagles or the Kansas City Chiefs, we've been close. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case on Monday night. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think we're going to be within the spread. Now, if Beto wants to wager on the spread, give me 7 points, I would consider that. But that's...
I'll give you 7 points.
And the wager would be what?
A flag.
A flag. I buy you a San Francisco 49ers flag, and if we win, you send that one to me.
Yep.
Okay, you got a wager.
Okay.
Vikings plus 7.
Yeah. Vikings, yeah, so we have to win by 8.
Yep, you got to win by 8. If it's 7 points even, it's a push.
Oh, correct.
We'll have to wait
that's
playoffs.
The whole thing. Yeah, 8 points. Real quick, as we coming to an end, you've been a great guest on our show. Normally, when you have Jefferson, we haven't spoke about your receiver, your number 1 receiver that is hurt. I notice a lot of defenses have to play a 2 safety set to kind of trying to keep him somewhat contained. But now that a lot of teams defensively don't have to have a 2 safety set because there's no threat of Jefferson. How much harder is it going to be for you guys to run the ball even more on defenses that are not playing? They can put an extra linebacker in the middle.
It's caused a little bit of a problem. KOC's got to scheme pass plays, which he's extremely good at, getting guys open. And Kirk's got to see those guys. And if he beats them we've got very good wide receivers besides JJ. JJ is by far the best wide receiver in the league. No argument. There's Tyreek Hill may say he is, and Tyreek Hill, I give it to him. He probably will end up that way because JJ is missing at least 4 weeks on IR, maybe 6. But before that, it's JJ. JJ demands so much in coverage, and he still gets 150 yards a game. JJ is unique. He's that wide receiver once in 30 years, and the Vikings have had some great wide receivers. He's right up there at the top of the list with Randy Moss and Chris Carter, right? What the Vikings are going to have to do is they're going to have to get their receivers open, and Kirk's going to have to throw to it. And then when it comes to the running game, we're probably going to see more Cam Akers, like I said at the very beginning of the show, versus Alexander Madison. And he's going to have to find those seams and break them out and bust them out. Otherwise, the Vikings aren't going to do it. You guys are too strong. That's just, like I said, you are the best team in the NFC. You are the best built team, most well-rounded. best performing. I'm not, I could blow purple smoke, but it doesn't change reality. That's the way it is. Do I want my Vikings to win? Absolutely. 100%. Would I love to see it? Yes.
Of course, you're a fan. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. But am I counting on it? No. Like I said, you give me 7 points, and if we're within a touchdown, I get the flag. If you beat me by 8, I'll send you a brand new.
If we don't win by 8 or more, you win. So, and obviously the Vikings win, then you win. So, it has to be the Niners have to win by 8 or more, which I think they're capable of doing. We always had a defense and a great defense, and I think this year we started to have a really good offense with Brock Purdy putting 30-plus points in 5 games prior to the one last week in Cleveland with that weather, that number 1 defense. It's hard to move the ball on that defense, and we struggle. I think Brock Purdy and the offense. Now, it looks like we're going to be without Debo Samuel, so Brandon Ayuk is going to have to step up. It looks like Christian McCaffrey will play. And we don't know about Trent.
I was about to say, what about Trent?
Yeah, Trent might not play. If he's out, it's going to be Jalen Moore. So I know that Hunter lines up 75 to 80% on the right side and 15% or 20% on the left. I might see that percentage change to the left because we got the young guy, Jalen Moore, and I think Hunter will test that side of the ball. So it'll be interesting how we do. We appreciate you coming on our show, the Niners Now podcast. We wish you guys the best. May the best team win on Monday night. First and foremost, that both teams come out healthy, no major injuries, and they will compete to their best. Because for me, I love to see competition. I'm okay with blowouts, but I know that close games are more nerve-wracking.
They're more exciting.
But to me, that's more exciting than a blowout. Like the Super Bowls that we played in the past, that we won against Cincinnati. That was like you're at the edge of your seat. But like that Super Bowl that we beat the Denver Broncos 55-10, it was over at halftime. So it's nice that you're going to win the Super Bowl, but still, I like the close ones. I know a lot of people think that it's crazy. It does age me more on those close games than the freaking blowouts. But talk about a 2-minute drive like Joe Montana used to do in his day. Come back in 2-minute drive, run it down the field 90 yards for a touchdown was always fun to watch. Maybe not at the moment, but afterwards it was fun. But Dave, I want to appreciate you on behalf of myself and the Niners Now podcast. I'll let Jessie give her part. But I want to say thank you for coming on. You're a great guest, great friend, and I wish your team the best of luck going forward. Health-wise, I root for your team. Team-wise, as a game, our Niners are going to kick the crap out of the Vikings and then leave Minnesota with a big W. But that's just a fan in me. Jess, anything you want to say before we call it a night?
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It was awesome. You're definitely a very knowledgeable fan, and I definitely enjoy that. But yeah, the Niners are getting this dub Monday night, but good luck.
Well, most likely, realistically, you will, but I'm still hoping for the purple. Skull Vikings.
There you go. Scroll like bang, bang. I don't know about, I don't like the Bang Bang Niner gang, but I guess it is what it is. I want to come out, Bang Bang's nice, but I want to come to something more like, anyway, that's me. But everyone, thank you. And for everybody that's in the chat, you guys are the true MVP of the show, supporting the channel. We are normally come on Fridays, not on Saturdays, in exception this Saturday, but we come on Monday nights, on Friday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Make sure to join us every Friday. Myself and Jess, great co-host. Thank you, Dave. Have a wonderful week. And everyone, enjoy football tomorrow. Great football games. You get to enjoy it. And especially that ass whipping we're going to give on Monday night. And I'll send you my address for that flag. I believe on Tuesday. I'll give you the evening to kind of wallow in the loss. Look, I'm talking a lot of mass shit, and then watch on Monday night. I'll be like, "F you, Dave. I don't like you." But everyone, thank you for joining. Always continue to support the channel. Make sure to hit the like button and support. We are trying to continue to grow the Niner Now podcast. If you're not subscribed already, but you're going through the Niner Sickness podcast, which I appreciate, make your way over to the Niners Now podcast and just subscribe to the channel and hit the like button there. We'll truly appreciate with that. It's been great. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you on the next Friday. Good luck and have a blessed night. Peace.
Good night.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,